Wind up, Jason! Your work isn't finished!
This is a one-time gig. When it's done, we're done.
Let's dance, asshole! So welcome everybody to another episode of Perfect Enemy Wednesday, and what we're going to be talking about in this particular video is a pairing that I do hold close to my heart, and it's from a gaming series I really wish got more recognition. I mean, Nintendo, if you are watching this video, which I highly doubt, but by chance, Nintendo, if you are watching this video, can you please give more love to the Donkey Kong series? Like, I understand you put out a remaster for a couple games, you've been doing a lot of ports for the franchise, but just one day, maybe on the launch of the Switch 2, you give us another Donkey Kong game. Because the reason why I'm saying all these things is because we're going to be talking about Donkey Kong and King K. Rool within this video, because a couple years ago, when King K. Rool got announced for Smash Bros, I got super excited because this was a character I grew up playing all those years ago when I first started playing the Super Nintendo for the very first time, and my very first Donkey Kong game was Donkey Kong Country, and I played through the rest of the Donkey Kong Country games, and I played Donkey Kong 64, and I really loved this character, and I just really wanted K. Rool to get more recognition, and I just want to break down King K. Rool and Donkey Kong's relationship within this video and just discuss the very reasons why these two characters are perfect enemies for one another. So if you guys have anything you want to get off your chest when it comes to Donkey Kong, King K. Rool, or anything in particular, and if you guys have any suggestions for the next perfect enemy video when it comes to a particular pairing that you guys want me to talk about, as long as I've played that series and I'm knowledgeable of those characters, be sure to let me know in the comments down below. And as always, we will talk about it. And the very first thing I do want to talk about when it comes to Donkey Kong and King K. Rool within this video is their personalities. Because one thing I will say when it comes to Donkey Kong and King K. Rool, they are not similar at all whatsoever. Like, these two characters in particular are entirely different from one another. So I do want to dive into their personalities and explain exactly why they are so different from one another. Because when I think about King K. Rool and Donkey Kong, like I said, it's clear to me that they couldn't be any more different in terms of personality. Because, for example, we got King K. Rool, who always struck me as this ruthless tyrant, where he was always completely driven by greed and domination. Because whenever I see him, he's always very unpredictable and unhinged, which ends up keeping Donkey Kong on his toes. And on the other hand, when it comes to Donkey Kong, his personality is the one that I've always admired, because he's a laid-back dude, and he's always content with enjoying the simple pleasures of life, especially when it comes to bananas, family, and the jungle. But when the time comes to defend his home, of course, and as well as his loved ones, his heroic nature shines through. King K. Rool's ruthless nature doesn't allow him that kind of peace, where he's always forcing Donkey Kong to rise to the occasion. And to me, that contrast between King K. Rool's hunger for power and Donkey Kong's peaceful lifestyle makes their rivalry so compelling. And it's not just about good versus evil, it's also about how Donkey Kong, who isn't naturally driven to fight, becomes a protector out of this necessity. In a way, it makes Donkey Kong's heroism feel more genuine to me, because now he's pushed into the action, not out of ego or a desire for glory, but to defend what's important to him. And that's something in their rivalry I think adds a lot more depth to it. And their physical differences from one another only enhance this conflict in my eyes, because Donkey Kong's muscular physique represents his raw natural power, and I've always loved how his design reflects his connection to the jungle. And King K. Rool, with his bulky frame and armored body, who always relies on these external gadgets and tricks rather than just using his raw strength alone. And his exaggerated features, like that giant crown on the top of his head, and of course you can't forget about that bulging eye he has, just makes him stand out as a villain who is both threatening and oddly comedic. And I think this visual contrast when it comes to Donkey Kong's natural strength versus King K. Rool's armored bulk really highlights how different they are, not in terms of just personality, but in how they approach battle. And the very next thing I do want to talk about is the motivations and strength behind both of these characters, because When you think of like motivation, you think, okay, King K. Rool has a set plan that he wants to follow. You know, King K. Rool has this blueprint, like he has this map in front of him. So I want to take some time to talk about exactly what defines the motivations between both of these characters, as well as their strength on top of it as well. Because what really intrigued me about their rivalry when I first got into the Donkey Kong series was how different their motivations were. I just loved how King K. Rool is driven purely by greed and his desire for control, because I always saw his schemes as a way to assert dominance over the Donkey Kong Island, whether it was stealing the bananas or kidnapping members of Donkey Kong's family, because his greed and obsession with domination seemed to come from a need to prove himself, almost as if he's compensating for something else. Whether it's his constant use of gadgets or his elaborate disguises, King K. Rool goes to extreme lengths to outdo Donkey Kong, almost as if he knows he can't win in a straightforward contest. That insecurity drives him to act more recklessly and with more desperation as their battles continue. And on the flip side of that, Donkey Kong's motivation is much more personal. He's driven by the need to protect his home, family, and the way of life. Donkey Kong doesn't really fight for personal pride or recognition, and that makes his strength feel even more powerful because he's happy for who he is. And that sense of self, to me, is what ultimately gives him the edge over King K. Rool's schemes. It's this classic battles of brains versus brawn, with King K. Rool's trickery trying to outsmart Donkey Kong's raw power. And it's always very exciting to watch, and it always keeps me hooked on their rivalry. And now I want to dive into exactly like what really made me fall in love with Donkey Kong and King K. Rool's rivalry to begin with, like putting the whole strategies and motivations behind us and putting their personalities behind us as well. Like, what's the exact reason why I fell for their relationship? Like, why am I such a big fan of King K. Rool? Why am I such a big fan of Donkey Kong? Allow me to explain that to you guys. Because what I love the most about King K. Rool and Donkey Kong's rivalry is just how iconic it has become over time. Because from the original Donkey Kong games, their relationship has developed while staying true to what makes it so iconic. And what I find compelling is how their encounters have grown in complexity, with King K. Rool becoming more unhinged and his plans more intricate, while Donkey Kong has matured more as a character. And the stakes have grown higher with each new encounter, and it feels like both characters have developed alongside the rivalry. And watching them face off now carries an extra weight, like I'm witnessing the culmination of years of conflict. And this ongoing battle has made the rivalry one of the most recognizable in gaming, on par with other legendary duos like Mario and Bowser or Link and Ganon. And every time I play a Donkey Kong game, I always look forward to the climatic encounters of K. Rool, knowing that I'm about to face the ultimate challenge. And his appearance in Super Smash Bros. Was a huge moment for me because it solidified his importance not just in the Donkey Kong series, but in the broader Nintendo universe. And to me, that's the mark of a truly iconic villain, when their rivalry transcends a single franchise and becomes a part of gaming history. And now I want to take some time to talk about the deeper themes behind the rivalry. Like, okay, what does Donkey Kong and King K. Rool's relationship really mean if we dive a little bit deeper and we dissect exactly what the whole message behind their rivalry is to begin with? And one of the things I have noticed, especially as I got older, about King K. Rool and Donkey Kong is how their rivalry reflects a deeper theme, like environmentalism and the balance of nature. Because Donkey Kong, as the protector of the jungle, represents more than just an individual hero. He's a symbol of preservation and harmony with nature, and King K. Rool, on the other hand, embodies exploration and industrialism, often seeking to corrupt or dominate natural resources. And it's just a dynamic that feels timeless and gives their conflict a level of thematic richness that goes beyond the characters themselves. And this theme is reflected in the environments that they battle in too. And when it comes to Donkey Kong's lush green jungles, contrasting sharply with King K. Rool's industrial fortresses. And for me, this adds a layer of depth to their conflict because it's not just about personal stakes, but also about two opposing forces clashing. And I also love King K. Rool's design, which is also a huge part of why he's so memorable to me, because his exaggerated features like the oversized crown, the golden belly, and also that bulging eye that we spoke of earlier just make him stand out as a villain who's both menacing and hilarious. And I think his over-the-top design perfectly matches his chaotic personality, and it's one of the reasons why he's become such a fan favorite. And Donkey Kong's design, on the other hand, is pretty much straightforward. His muscular build and natural agility emphasize his role as a hero who relies on his physical abilities, and the contrast between their designs make their battles even more engaging to watch, with each character representing a completely different style and approach. And in the end, the rivalry between Donkey Kong and King K. Rool is truly one for the ages, because it's not just about hero versus villain, but about the clash of two entirely different forces when it comes to natural strength against cunning trickery, peace against domination, or even the deeper themes of preservation versus exploitation. And I think that's what makes their battles so memorable, and that's why they left such a lasting impact on me and other people as well. And their dynamic has shaped the Donkey Kong series and cemented both their characters as iconic figures in gaming. And for me, it's this complexity and depth that makes King K. Rool the perfect enemy for Donkey Kong. So other than that, that is all I have to say about Donkey Kong and King K. Rool in this video. So I really do hope you guys enjoyed this video. I just wanted to get this video out there because I really wanted to talk about two of these characters, and I'm hoping and praying, like I mentioned earlier, that we get a future installment where a Nintendo Switch 2 game drops and it happens to be a new Donkey Kong game, and we have our boy King K. Rool making his epic return, because as soon as I see that drop, I am going to go wild, because it's just something that I've wanted for quite some time. I mean, I'm happy he's back and he's relevant again because of Smash Bros. Ultimate, but I really want to see him in another game again. So I really do hope that Nintendo makes the right decision and we're able to see something like that down the line. But if you guys have any thoughts of your own when it comes to their relationship, or anything particular about the Donkey Kong series, or like I mentioned as well earlier in the beginning of the video, if you guys have any pairings that you guys want me to talk about, be sure to let me know down below and we'll talk about it. So if you guys enjoyed this video, as always, be sure to like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. If you guys want to follow me on my social media, be sure to check out my Facebook page, my Twitter, my TikTok, and my Instagram. All of that is located in the description below. Be sure to click on that bell for notifications so you guys are notified whenever I upload a video on the channel. But other than that, I hope all of you guys are having a fantastic day, wherever the day may be, if it's the daytime, the nighttime, or the evening. And I'll see you guys in the next video. As always, peace out.